pe Tariq in the Aryan Khan bail plea matter in the Bombay High Court today in the court. Aryan Khan's lawyers argued for bail while tomorrow is when the NCB lawyers will present arguments for why Aryan Khan and his associates should not be given bail. What's very clear in the court of Justice Samre is the WhatsApp chats which were submitted and the role that they will play in determining whether Aryan Khan should be given bail or not. Aryan Khan's lawyers argued that these are old WhatsApp chats, chats which have nothing to do with the Cruz party, which is why Aryan Khan was arrested, whereas the NCB is expected to argue that the WhatsApp chats suggest that Aryan Khan was a serial offender. The question is, he's been arrested for an offence that he did not commit in this instance, and that is what Aryan Khan's lawyers are hoping to push in the bail hearing and hoping that they get a favourable verdict from the judge in the Bombay High Court. Here's our lead story.
Another night in Arthur Road jail for Aryan Khan. On the second day of hearing, the High Court bench gave a jolt to the NCB's entire case against Aryan. It questioned the admissibility of the WhatsApp chats in court. The NCB has based its entire case against SRK's son on WhatsApp chats, saying it linked to drug procurement and international peddlers. After Mukul Rohatgi, it was senior lawyer Amit Desai who sought to demolish the NCB's arguments. Desai argued that the WhatsApp chats were not shared with his client. He said that the WhatsApp chats were being played out in the media but were not in the court records. Desai also hinted that the chats could have been tampered. Desai, who's defending Arbaz Merchant, said Aryan and his friends were jailed only on the basis of WhatsApp chats, which were not even related to the cruise ship case.
WhatsApp chat or any electronic evidence वर रिलाय करण्यासाठी तुम्हाला 65B सर्टिफिकेट मॅन्डेटरी आहे आणि ते 65B सर्टिफिकेट आता हा केसमध्ये एनसीबीचं पण मिसिंग आहे ते रेकॉर्डवर नाही आहे.
The former Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi questioned Aryan's arrest, saying that the arrest memo did not even mention the grounds. The next 2 days are crucial for Aryan Khan because the High Court closes for Diwali break on November 1st.
Lawyers representing Aryan Khan, Arbaz Merchant and Munmun Dhanecha have put forth their best case while arguing that the stringent sections that have been imposed in the case should not have been done. However, on Thursday, Additional Solicitor General Anil Singh will be arguing why the bail should not be granted. And everyone's really hoping that the High Court will pass its order before Friday so that the accused can really come out. Else, they will be behind bars for further 2 weeks as the High Court will be breaking for Diwali vacation. With cameraman Hemant in Mumbai, Vidya for India Today.
So there's just 2 days to go before a 2-week Diwali break kicks in. How are the arguments proceeding so far? Who seems to have the more compelling case? We'll dissect that without in any way seeking to get into the head of Justice Samre and the decision that he may ultimately take. That's his prerogative. But we can look at and dissect what's been happening in the High Court. Joining me for this is Pinky Anand, a senior advocate in the Supreme Court, former Additional Solicitor General of India, one of India's best-known advocates. Also squaring off against Pinky is Ujjwal Nikam, who's been a special public prosecutor, well-known, high-profile lawyer in his own steam. Monish Bhalla joins us, former NCB officer from Ahmedabad. And for a political perspective on this, I'm joined by Priyanka Chaturvedi from the Shiv Sena, Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament. I want to go across first and foremost to Ujjwal Nikam because we heard from Amit Desai, before that from Mukul Rohatgi, some compelling arguments that this is a crime which hadn't yet been committed. There are WhatsApp chats which have been put out which have nothing to do with this particular instance because these are from the past. From what we can see in the public, do you believe, Mr. Nikam, that the lawyers arguing on behalf of Aryan Khan have been able to put out a compelling case which would possibly lead the judge to favourably considering granting Aryan Khan bail?
Rahul, I must fairly say that I don't want to comment upon the merit as well as the argument advanced on either side in the court of law because the matter is sub judice. But the moot question is whether WhatsApp chat is a prima facie evidence or not. Yes, it's a prima facie evidence. But whether that alone is sufficient to take any decision, in my humble opinion, that WhatsApp chat must be corroborated by other contemporary documents. Rahul, you are aware that I was conducting that Pramod Mahajan murder case. And before the murder of Pramod Mahajan, his brother Praveen Mahajan had sent one text message on his mobile phone. Therefore, my stand in the court of law was that since the SMS was sent by the Praveen Mahajan, it is clear cut that Praveen Mahajan had decided it's a premeditated, planned, cold-blooded murder of Pramod Mahajan. It was not a murder on account of some exchange of talk or on the spur of moment between Pramod ji and Praveen. No, that was not the case. That was my contention, and I was putting my case. But Praveen Mahajan has examined one expert in the court of law in Pune Mumbai Session Court, and he pointed out that SMS can be fabricated because SMS is an electronic device message. And accordingly, they had done the practical. So I withdrew that stand. That happened in the Pramod Mahajan case. I don't know about the details of the investigation made in this case, and therefore it would be premature to say anything on the issue which is being sub judice in the High Court.
Okay, Pinky Anand, it's really down to whether WhatsApp chats and the extent to which WhatsApp chats qualify as evidence. And as I was hearing the arguments in court, I was thinking to myself, I often say to one of our colleagues in our newsroom that I'm going to kill that person if a story goes wrong, or if we've missed something, or if we are late, oh, that guy is so slow, I'm going to kill him. It's just a matter of speaking, and now that's really what it's down to, because both Mukul Rohtgi and Amit Desai are arguing that just to say that someone is intending to commit a crime is not the same thing as a crime itself. And the WhatsApp chats that have been submitted now are not of this cruise party, but going back into the past about some narcotics which may have been consumed in the past. Can they be used as evidence in this case, given that nothing has been found in this instance? It's really coming down to these WhatsApp chats, and those have consequences way beyond just this case, because it's what you say on WhatsApp, and whether what you say is what you mean, or can you be held liable for what you've said on WhatsApp, even if you haven't done that. I'm going to come back to Pinky Anand in just a moment as we try and fix that connection, but I want to go across to Munish Bhalla in the middle from the Narcotics Control Bureau, because given the reliance the Narcotics Control Bureau is placing on these WhatsApp chats, it really does raise that question. If I say I want to kill Munish Bhalla, I mean, I'm just saying it, I don't intend to do it, I promise you that, but can I be held accountable for having said in a message that I intend to kill Munish Bhalla unless that crime did ultimately get connected? If the crime got committed and you have a message from me which lays out my intent to kill Munish Bhalla, that makes sense. If that person is still alive, the crime never got committed, can that then be used to argue that Aryan Khan committed a crime which he says he didn't?
You have got a valid question, Rahul. WhatsApp chat standalone does not have much value. Prima facie, yes, it has got an indication that there is something wrong, but it has to be corroborated by some ground realities and some evidences. So this is my personal view on this. Let's see what the court decides tomorrow on this. But WhatsApp chat in just standalone cannot be made, prima facie it's okay, but you need to corroborate with good evidences. This is my personal view on this.
No, that's an important point you make, and I want to put that question to Pinky Anand, and I want to extend the same thing to you. Imagine I send Priyanka Chaturvedi a message, Pinky, saying I'm going to kill Pinky Anand, but I don't actually commit that crime. I just for whatever reason, express my intention, can the NCB now, or whichever investigating agency, come after me for having said that I'm going to kill Pinky Anand if that murder never happened? That's really what it's down to. And it's not just about Aryan Khan. This case has ramifications for all of us because people are saying all kinds of things on WhatsApp without necessarily meaning them or necessarily doing what they are saying.
Rahul, that's quite an example that you are trying to lead up to, but be that as it may, Rahul, as I said, it's quite an example that you've
Yeah, I hear you. Go on. Don't worry. I don't intend to kill you. I promise you, Pinky. We're in the middle of Diwali season and it's all good. I have no intention of killing you. It's just an argument I'm drawing to question the NCB's position. They're citing old WhatsApp chats which have nothing to do with this matter of the cruise party, and they're saying here is evidence that he consumed drugs. They've caught him without possession, and that they're insisting that they need to keep him in jail. Pinky Anand.
No, the point is, let's be very clear on what the law on the subject is. As far as WhatsApp chats are concerned, WhatsApp chats can be the basis of evidence against the accused. There's no issue on that score whatsoever. However, in a given case, whether the WhatsApp chat has translated itself into the actual crime that is alleged, that is another question. And as in your example you were talking about, if the murder actually happens, it would actually only then be something which is conclusive as an evidence. But whatever the contents of the WhatsApp chats are, by themselves, A, they are evidence permissible under the Indian Evidence Act. B, is they required to be corroborated, as was being said earlier by the former NCB chief also. Ultimately, it needs to be corroborated. Yes, it needs to be corroborated depending upon whether the actual offence has been placed on the WhatsApp chats by itself. If not, then yes, you would need corroborative evidence to show that the offence has occurred. You're right on one principle, Rahul. The offence must have been committed. So for that offence to have been committed, the chain has to be complete, and a WhatsApp chat which talks about conspiracy between each other by itself only establishes the conspiracy. The actual offence of consumption of illicit trafficking, as has been alleged in the present case, is something which does have to be established. And incidentally, Rahul, that is something which is under investigation. That entire network of establishing a contact is something which is very much under investigation, and nobody is saying that WhatsApp chats are going to be the only bit of evidence that will come out. This is not the trial. We are right now at a stage where investigation has started. It is in process. You are right now discussing an issue of bail. For the bail itself, the question is whether there is a prima facie case made out, because that's what Section 37 of the NDPS Act does require. And on the basis of the WhatsApp chat, the prima facie evidence is sought to be established, and that is how the whole discussion is going forward on the issues.
No, but A, this is not WhatsApp chats about this particular case. These are conversations in the past that Aryan's had with his friends and associates. Nothing has been recovered in this particular instance. In Priyanka Chaturvedi, I make this point and I stretch the argument for a reason, and that reason is that all of us, you've got a young child, you've got an adolescent child, people, young, middle-aged, old, are saying all kinds of things on WhatsApp. Now suddenly we'll have to start telling everyone and ourselves that be careful of what you say, because if you say it, some Samir Wankhede or somebody else in the Mumbai police or elsewhere could use that as evidence against you. Acceptance of a crime which you may or may not have committed. Just use that WhatsApp to say, here is evidence that this person has done drugs. And one of the things they were relying on earlier was when Aryan Khan was apparently saying, let's have a blast, and they took that to mean that they're going to do something really spooky, which is why they're talking about having a blast. So these WhatsApp chats now is something that everybody needs to be very careful about, Priyanka.
Absolutely. I don't know how many times I must have told my close friends that what high are you on? And for them to say whatever video providing to us, so it's such a joke. And for it to become something like, an evidence or trying to make a case against me or against anybody based on the, I would say the millennial lingo of this generation is extremely unfortunate. However, I will not jump the gun here. I do not know what evidence NCB has. But whatever information is out there in public domain, let's have a blast has taken meaning of its own. A case is not just being built on WhatsApp conversation. The case also is leading to character assassination through WhatsApp chat, leaks which before going on public record, court records, are being leaked out to media for character assassination, of trying to build a further case for the NCB. I do not know why this is happening. And this is the extremely unfortunate situation we are in right now. And this is not just one singular case here. We saw it happen a year and a half ago too, where Imma bounced, translated on a television media channel to a bounce check. So I think the need of the hour is really, if we are looking at end users, we need to understand how are the end users getting easy access to drugs, what are their sources, and if this easy access to drugs has become an issue across the country, then we need to find out the drug mafia and the drug connections and
I
links
think you could
behind
be,
it. You cannot.
Priyanka Chaturvedi, madam, you could be in big trouble because you've gone on national television accepting that you're supplying weed to your friends. If Samir Wankhede and his associates are watching, you've accepted that your friends are high, that you're supplying them stuff which they're doing. You could be in serious trouble. I mean, if that's the level that is being used as evidence, Priyanka Chaturvedi, you could be charged under the NDPS by Wankhede and gang tomorrow. Be careful what you say.
And there's another fear that I have. Now there's another problem that has come up. NDPS Act being used to also claim that the entire argument of conscious possession. So you may not have the weed with you, it may be with somebody else who's hiding it in his shoes, in his socks, in his bag, but because he's your best friend and you're traveling together, you are also considered part of some sinister conspiracy of that 6 grams of ganja that person had. So this is all information that we have in public domain. I'm not even going to judge what is happening. But these are things we need to, understand. Why are we reducing the entire investigation to levels like these, which sound preposterous, which sound ridiculous, and not really attack the source of the problem, which is the huge drug overhauls we have been seeing over the past 1.5-2 months, whether it was at Mundra Port, whether it is in various other states, whether it is Assam, whether it is in Maharashtra. We need to find out and plug those loopholes, not those which are, being revealed over WhatsApp conversations.
No, but this is the problem, Ujjwal Nikam. It's not a laughing matter because that's the manner in which the law is actually being used. For example, the Diwali season is on at this moment, Pinky Anand, and people are going to all kinds of Diwali swaris, and let's imagine that you're somewhere and somebody there, maybe somebody you know, is found in the possession of drugs, like Aryan Khan's friend Arbaz in this case. Now, because Aryan is found in the possession of drugs without any evidence that Aryan himself consumed those drugs, Arbaz did have those drugs, but can that then be blamed on Aryan Khan? Because that again is something which has ramifications beyond this case. If you're at a place where you know someone who's got something on him and he's arrested and you're picked up with him and it's considered to be in your possession, how does that even make sense, Pinky Anand?
Rahul, I think in the present case, it is not only a question of somebody being with somebody. There are statements that Arbaz was carrying and that Aryan knew about it. There was statements that Aryan was consuming. There is no dispute on these propositions. Whatever may be the outcome of withdrawals or retractions, that's another matter. But the point is, there are all these admissions. So it's not a simple case of somebody being found with somebody else who was in possession, and therefore there can be no attribution of possession or conscious possession on the person who's now we are talking about. So that is really not the question. The conscious possession has been deemed even without actual possession, without issue. The question is whether you knew about it and whether you were party to it, whether you did consume, and whether there is, in this present case, as alleged, illicit trafficking of drugs, which is what is being investigated.
In the midst of all of this, the investigating officer who finds himself in the eye of a huge storm, the Mumbai Zonal Director of the Narcotics Control Bureau, Samir Wankhede, was grilled for about 4 hours by a 5-member NCB vigilance team. This is about the charge of him having allegedly tried to extort 25 crore rupees from Shah Rukh Khan's family in the Aryan Khan drug case. Sources say Wankhede was very evasive in his responses, and what I find particularly baffling and ironical, if anything can ever be called ironical, is that Samir Wankhede's family is now claiming that their privacy is being impacted. I mean, after all of what Samir Wankhede has done two people over the last year and a half. His family is now saying it's Wankade's privacy that's being invaded into. How life comes a full circle in this case. Here's what happened in the case of the grilling of Sameer Wankhede.
Sameer Wankhede, the man in the spotlight, has been on overdrive to get to the bottom of Aryan Khan's cruise drug bust case. Despite a cloud of allegations hovering him, Sameer Wankhede has decided to forge ahead unfazed. While he does his job, the NCB does its own. A 5-member special team of the NCB has landed in Mumbai only to probe the serious charges of corruption and extortion levelled against Wankhede by an independent witness in the Aryan Khan case. Prabhakar Sale, witness number 1 in Aryan Khan's case, has stated 25 crore rupees extortion deal was being scripted at the behest of Sameer Wankhede to let off Aryan Khan. NCB was quick to order an internal inquiry, with the team now all set to grill key players around this controversy, including Prabhakar Sale, the witness who has accused Sameer Wankhede of extortion; KP Gosavi, another witness in the case whose selfie with Aryan Khan went viral. He has been accused of taking bribe from Shah Rukh Khan's manager on orders of Sameer Wankhede. Sam D'Souza, who's still absconding, a businessman and Gosavi's friend who is named in the extortion claim. Pooja Dadlani, Shah Rukh Khan's manager, who the NCB has accused of trying to influence witnesses. And finally, Sameer Wankhede himself, NCB zonal director, who stands accused of trying to extort money in lieu of freeing Aryan Khan. NCB's Deputy Director General, Northern Region, Gyaneshwar Singh, has said that Sameer Wankhede's statement has been recorded as part of their vigilance inquiry.
इस जांच को आगे बढ़ाते हुए हम लोगों ने समीर वानखेड़े जी का बयान आज रिकॉर्ड किया है। लगभग 4-4.5 घंटे चली बयान की रिकॉर्डिंग में बहुत सारी बातें उन्होंने रखी हैं और आने वाले समय में आवश्यकता अनुसार उनसे और भी कागजात लिए जाएंगे और कुछ और साक्ष्य की जरूरत होगी तो उनसे लिया जाएगा।
The Mumbai police tightens the noose on the other end. A preliminary inquiry has been initiated against Sameer Wankhede. Mumbai police has already recorded Prabhakar Sale's statement on camera, where he said he was forced to sign blank papers in the presence of Wankhede and that the extorted money was exchanged in bags. The Mumbai police will now investigate all electronic evidence. CCTV footage will be scanned to trace people, their location and places which Prabhakar mentioned in his statement. Sameer Wankhede has rubbished these allegations, claiming that he's become a target only for doing his duty right.
समीर सब कुछ कहना चाहेंगे सर? नहीं थैंक यू सर। आप पर आरोप लग रहे हैं सर, लगातार पर्सनल अटैक हो रहा है।
सब झूठे हैं।
पर्सनल अटैक लग रहा है सर आप पर।
रिप्लाई करेंगे उसका।
While Sameer Wankhede's credibility comes under fire, there are several questions which have cast a shadow on the NCB's probe in this high-profile case. Has the Wankhede storm dulled NCB's thrust on the case? Will Sameer Wankhede be pulled off this case? Have allegations destroyed perception of a fair probe? Are attacks on Wankhede a revenge exercise? Is Uddhav government's stance principled or a cover-up? Sameer Wankhede has meanwhile sought protection from Mumbai police from likely legal action being planned, claiming he is being falsely framed. Bureau Report, India Today.
So what we have now is the investigating officer leading the probe himself under the scanner. Monish Bala, is it best that Sameer Wankhede step aside from this investigation given the charges that have been levelled against him, that he tried to extort 25 crore rupees from Shah Rukh Khan's family? Because there are two ways of looking at it. One, if these charges are true, they are very damning. The other argument is that tomorrow anybody can stand up against any officer and level such charges, and if they do, no officer will then be able to do his job. Monish Bala.
Yeah. See, you are rightly said. There are two angles to this. One, whether this whole investigation somebody is trying to derail by putting such allegations. Okay. definitely the department's image is at stake, and the officer's image is at stake. So if any such allegation is there, and such pressure is there on him, mental pressure, family pressure, political pressure, what we are seeing now on the channels, which is very sad. It is extremely sad when the family is brought into picture, you know. So at that time, I am sure any officer will be emotionally also disturbed. Okay, but question is whether there is some plan to derail this whole investigation.
But sir, one second, sir. When you say the officer is disturbed, and with all due respect to with all respect to the family, when Sameer Wankade's family now complains of a media trial or a witch hunt, B, about their privacy being invaded into, when these WhatsApp chats are leaked on TV, whether it's Deepika's chat or Aryan's chat, it's not coming from journalists, it's being given out by the NCB to the beat reporters, and therefore when he is now saying that his privacy is being touched and being invaded upon, it really sounds very, very ironical, sir.
No, that's not the question. Rahul, what I'm trying to say is, when somebody is emotionally disturbed because of his family being targeted, anybody whose family is targeted, his weakness is his family. Anybody's family is his weakness. Okay, so definitely he is disturbed, and that is very sad. Secondly, if the vigilance inquiry finds that there's nothing against him, and these are all allegations and dirt being, so don't you think that somebody is trying to derail this whole investigation? Okay, both the angles are there. At the same time, if the officer is under pressure,
but when you make this argument,
then he will not be able to perform also.
Pinky Anand, when this argument is, sure, I hear what you're saying, but Pinky Anand, when this argument is made that this is an attempt to derail the investigation, the fact is that the person who's spoken out, Prabhakar Sel, is an independent witness of the NCB, and what they're saying, including what the likes of Gosavi are saying, is that they were made to sign blank affidavits where the NCB would later put whatever the officer wanted, so that they could frame the case or drop the charges in the way that they wanted. So these are supposedly independent NCB witnesses who are now speaking out. So these are not Aryan Khan or Shah Rukh Khan's friends. These are the NCB's own witnesses who are in that case, who are speaking out and really raising very serious questions about the manner in which Sameer Wankade carried out this investigation.
So Rahul, the whole principle of investigating officers being transferred is something which is not unknown in this criminal jurisprudence. By and large, these kind of allegations are made fairly widely, and the normal attempt is to derail the investigation. So I don't want to get anything beyond that, but to say this, that this so-called independent and this so-called former NCB, what kind of interest they would have, what kind of disgruntled attitude they would have, is there a past history and all? I'm afraid we don't know those domains, so we don't want to go again, as I said, in that particular area. But having said this, it's the simplest thing to do, to send an investigating officer off the case by making allegations against him, which allegations are unfounded, but based upon that, to ensure that the investigation possibly goes some other way. So that's my comment on Sameer Wankade's the whole aspersions as far as he's concerned.
Priyanka Chaturvedi, would you agree that this whole business of raising questions against the investigating officer carries the risk, because it becomes a muchka sawal for that officer? So even if the investigation later shows that Aryan did not do drugs or should actually be acquitted, because it's now become a matter of prestige, he will push harder than he would have otherwise to prove the case, even if the evidence isn't strong. And secondly, the fact that anyone can stand up and speak up against the investigating officer, which will make it impossible for any genuine investigating officer to carry out any investigation in any case.
So, firstly, I would want to go on record and say that these are just, imaginary conversations I'm having with my friend. I do not want Mr. Sameer Wankade gulling for my WhatsApp chats. But having said that, I'm very sure some spyware would have ensured that I don't have any such conversations and got me in the dock. Having said that, Now, with regards to Mr. Wankhede, I'm sorry, this is not something to derail this particular investigation. This is just one of many incidents that have been happening over past 1.5 years. And I'm sure we have some learned guests on your panel. They would also agree that all these investigations that have been happening under his charge, none of those cases, starting from the high-profile Riya Chakraborty to her brother, to Sara Ali Khan, to Deepika Padukone, to various other people, and now to coming to Aryan Khan, none of them have been charge-sheeted. None of them have a case. I mean, NCB hasn't been able to make a case against them. So the question is not about one official. The question is this official actually taking NCB in a direction where its credibility, its respectability all come under the scanner? That is the problem, and that is the question that needs to be answered. That what has been achieved over the 1.5 years, except for the limelight and glory that one individual has managed to get. And let me also remind all the esteemed guests on this panel that as a government employee or as representatives of constituencies, elected representatives, we are all scrutinized, and every single thing has to be above board. Otherwise, we will be facing action, we will be facing law. So why can't he also be able to come transparent and be able to answer the questions asked of him? This is not just about one investigation which is ongoing and judiciary is overlooking that. This is a series of events that lead to these questions, and that is where the NCB in itself comes under a scanner.
You know, in the middle of this, the fight between Sameer Wankhede and Nawab Malik is getting uglier with the passing day. Now, Nawab Malik has put out the marriage certificate of Sameer Wankhede, in which he claims that Wankhede is actually a Muslim, and this is important because if he's a Muslim, then he can't be a government official under the SC or Dalit quota. Wankhede is saying that these charges of wrongdoing are blatantly false, but the question is, if Wankhede is indeed a Muslim, which is what he showed himself as during his first nikah, then how did he join the government services under a Dalit nomination, under Dalit category? Because that is something which would amount to misrepresentation. So that matter again is something which is now being looked at.
No end to Maha Aghadi attack on Mumbai Narcos chief Sameer Wankhede. Maharashtra Minister Nawab Malik has escalated his tirade against Wankhede, tweeting his photograph from his first marriage with Shabana Qureshi and the purported Nikah Nama, which allegedly shows Sameer Wankhede with a Muslim middle name of Dawood. Claiming that the NCB officer used fraudulent means to get a caste certificate and revenue service job under quota despite being a Muslim. Claiming Wankhede's father had converted to Islam, which was illegally changed by the NCB official to get a reservation benefit, which is denied to Dalits who leave Hinduism.
समीर दाऊद वानखेड़े ने फर्जी दस्तावेज के आधार पर शेड्यूल कास्ट का सर्टिफिकेट बनवाया और उस सर्टिफिकेट के आधार पर कंपटीशन में बैठे IRS का पद हासिल किया.
The high-profile Narco Bureau official rejected the charge, speaking exclusively to India Today, calling it a witch hunt and personal attacks for leading a war on Mumbai's drug menace.
आप पर आरोप लग रहे हैं सर, लगातार पर्सनल अटैक हो रहा है.
सब झूठे हैं.
पर्सनल अटैक लग रहा है सर आप पर.
रिप्लाई करेंगे उसका.
Wankhede's father, Gyandev, whose Muslim wife was mother of Sameer Wankhede, asked if he never converted to Islam, how can his son be Muslim?
मैं मुस्लिम नहीं हूँ, मैं हिंदू हूँ. मेरा नाम ज्ञानदेव कचरूजी वानखेड़े है. मैं देखा नहीं ना, मुझे ये नहीं समझ में आता ऐसी इतना शादी में गड़बड़ में. अभी एज ए मैं पिता ऐसा मैं थोड़ी पढ़ूंगा हर चीज. शादी इतना बड़ी गर्दी होती है, मैं क्या पढ़ सकता हूँ उसमें.
The BJP meanwhile has hit back at Nawab Malik. Former Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis asked him to submit proof in court and stop levelling unsubstantiated allegations.
अगर उनके पास कोई चीजें हैं तो वो कोर्ट चले जाए. ऑनगोइंग केस चल रही है, उसमें सारे साक्ष्य जो उनके पास है वो दे और कार्रवाई की बात करे. लेकिन इस पर कोरी राजनीति हो रही है जो बिल्कुल ठीक नहीं है.
But Nawab Malik found support from his government boss, Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray, who claimed that Bollywood stars were being hounded, taking the matter straight to Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
एक म्हणजे मुंद्रा अदानी बंदराचा तपास करा हे कोर्टाने सांगितलेलं. तिकडे करोडो रुपयाचा अंमली पदार्थांचा साठा सापडलेला, करोडो रुपये. कोणाला तरी एक सेलिब्रिटी घ्यायचा आणि त्याला पकडला म्हणून ढोलकी वाजवायची, फोटो काढून घ्यायचे.
During his 14-year tenure, Sameer Wankhede's caste certificate would have come up for review at least 14 times. Is it likely that he beat the stringent civil service check all this while? With Vidya and Arvind Ojha in Mumbai and Rahul Srivastav in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
You know, Sameer Wankhede has had a long run-in with Bollywood stars. So, way back in 2011, Wankhede had fined Shah Rukh Khan 1.5 lakh rupees. The irony of having taken on both the father and the son. Also, the likes of Deepika Padukone, Katrina Kaif, Anushka Sharma, Ranbir Kapoor have all at different points in time been on Wankhede's hit list.
In normal circumstances, Sameer Wankhede would have been just another senior Narcotics Control Bureau officer, working in the shadows to bring down drug kingpins. But then, Wankhede is no ordinary NCB officer. After all, he's the man who arrested Shah Rukh Khan's son, Aryan. Again, Wankhede is no stranger to handling celebrities. In fact, his rise has been proportional to the cases he has handled. Wherever Wankhede goes, you can be sure headlines follow. In 2011, an airport customs department team headed by him stopped and interrogated Shah Rukh Khan at the Mumbai airport for carrying excess luggage. Wankhede ensured that SRK paid a fine of 1.5 lakh rupees before he left the airport. Actors Minisha Lamba, Anushka Sharma and Bipasha Basu were all detained at the airport in 2011 for alleged illegalities. There were other Bollywood bigwigs too who felt the heat after coming under Wankhede's scanner. Ranbir Kapoor, Katrina Kaif and singer Mika Singh were also stopped by Wankhede's team and paid fines for irregularities. Wankhede then moved out of airport vigilance to the service tax department, and his first big cases led to director Anurag Kashyap having to cough up a 60 lakh penalty for evasion. He also summoned actor Vivek Oberoi for evading service tax on 40 lakh rupees, which he received from producers. But Wankhede came into real limelight last year. As zonal head of Narcotics Control Bureau, he arrested Riya Chakrabarti over charges of consumption of drugs and her WhatsApp chats. Actors Deepika Padukone, Shraddha Kapoor and Sara Ali Khan were also grilled in connection with Riya's chats. Actor Arman Kohli was arrested by Wankhede's team on charges of drug consumption in August this year. But allegations by a Maharashtra minister have now cast some doubts over Wankhede's stunning results wherever he has gone. Questions are now coming up if he is a pliant officer who does hit jobs on celebs for money, or is he an upright officer out to clean up a dirty system? With Munish Pandey in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.